Let's go. Welcome back to the Four Handsome Man podcast. I mean, the Think Big podcast. It's your boy Daryl. I got my brothers with me, Mindset Marlon. It's really Alvarez and Art Sam Singh. My guys, we're back. Part three, talking about personality types. And today we're going to be talking about that steady personality type. That guy who's, you know, cool, going with the flow. This guy, he's a little analytical. He's a little, but he's a team player. You know what I'm saying? He's a team player. So you got to work with him a little differently. Sam, how do you usually work with these steady personality types?
I think first and foremost is this. Actually, before I say anything else, I missed you guys.
Let's see
Daryl.
more, bro.
I mean, I'm
That was
just
a little
saying that.
disrespectful of
You
me.
know, I need my weekly dose of the three most handsome brown guys on the internet. So, yeah, dude, it's really interesting, and it goes back to what we've been saying each time. It is really really important to understand that you're communicating with someone who may not be communicating like you, right? They may like to speak differently. They may like to intake information differently. So with this type of human being, you have to understand that certain sales tricks work and certain sales tricks don't. And with the steady type who these people are very even, right? They're almost kind of neutral to a lot of things and they're very straightforward sometimes. Maybe not as straightforward as like a red seller who's like really abrasive and aggressive. These are people who typical sales tricks, right? Those sales kind of affections and those affectations and those little kind of sales minutia, they may not work. Why? Because this person, a lot of times, they're just pretty simply straightforward. They know this thing is this way, this way, this way, and this way. And if you try to deviate with some fancy speech pattern and some really fancy little unique sales tricks, they're going to catch on to that because it sets off like kind of alarms in their mind. Like it's really interesting. Marlon's the one who actually told me this back in the day. Is that these you got to think of these people as like almost like 9 to 5 workers, right? What is the identity type of someone who works a 9 to 5? They're usually in a box. They're usually they have a set way of doing things. It is routine based, right? We think about school. You show up at 8 a.m. and you go to class 1, class 2, class 3, then you go to lunch, then you go to class 4 and 5. You go to college, same thing. Graduate college, get work, same thing. 9 to 5. Everything is structured, predictable, routine. You have to understand that when you come at these people and you come at them differently than their routine, a lot of times their guards just immediately go up. So I think understanding first and foremost, the first and foremost most important thing is understanding who you are talking to. So understanding that character profile, right? These are people who like stability. This is why like Marlon likes to, think of them as like the 9 to 5 stability human being. They're stable. They like predictability. They like routine. They don't like things being so far outside of the norm, or they don't like necessarily crazy ideas. They may sound a little off to them. Play to that, right? Show them that you understand how things conventionally work, and then you have to articulate to them that your way of doing things, even if it is a little bit unconventional, it's not so far out the norm that it like raises up alarms, right? Gerald, what about you, man? How do you take these people in?
Exactly what you said, bro. That was a really good point. You really don't have to do too much with these people. As long as you can explain it simply so that they can understand and everybody's on the same page. A lot of times they just go with the flow. If it makes sense to them, a lot of times these people they may go a little slower, right? But they're not as skeptical as our analytical people. Like our analytical people, they're trying to poke holes in everything. The the steady person, they're really just trying to understand, right? And once they understand, they're good to go. You know what I'm saying? And like you were saying, Sam, even if it was something that is more difficult, right? Different type of deal. We all do creative, right? So they're not always the norm, right? As long as you can explain what you're looking to do in a manner that anybody can understand it. I like to say so a kindergartner can understand it. They'll be ready to move forward, right? They'll like to work with you. Um, so yeah, Alejandro, what about you, bro?
What up, man?
Oh my guy,
First and foremost, how's everyone doing? Are you guys having a great start to your year?
bro,
Bro, are you
he's
kidding me?
phenomenal,
Kidding me?
amazing, bro.
I feel like the year is flying by. I don't know if anyone realized, like, the first month of the year is already half over.
We're almost there,
We're
bro.
almost there. January is almost gone, guys. So I hope you guys
I
have been hitting your calls and hitting your dials and hitting your numbers, because like, a lot of people are still caught in that. They're still mapping out the new year.
That's
I-
that's my question, bro. For people who have, everybody who has these New Year's resolutions and these New Year goals, who in the chat is still reading their New Year goals and their targets and everything every single day and still sticking to it?
Oh man, come on, man.
Mine right here. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Let me see in the chat. What's up? Are y'all still reading your goals every day? Are you still reminding yourself what you're actually looking to accomplish? Because I know me, one of my goals is 6 figures a month, every single month. And I'll tell you, I read that every single day. And guess who's on track to making 6 figures this month? You know what I'm saying? Like it's real, right? Like read your goals every single day. Write them down first. Get some clarity. Read them, figure it out, and read them every single day.
Yo, if y'all need help with that, come talk to your boy. Come talk to your boy, because it's mindset, Marlon. Seriously, you have to be doing this. One of the biggest mistakes most people make is underestimating how much effort, how much focus, how much concentration goes into creating a goal, to creating the achievement, creating success. You're underestimating how much it takes. It is a daily, consistent reminder. You have to remind yourself. You have to reorient yourself. You have to focus. You got to think about yourself like an airplane. When that airplane takes off from California and it's heading to New York, it's got this beautiful thing called a self-guidance system, an autopilot. If you really understood what was happening, that airplane is constantly being knocked off course. And that autopilot keeps it centered. That autopilot keeps reminding the airplane, this is where we're going. This is where we're going. If it got off course by even 1 degree and it kept traveling, it's going to be hundreds of miles off track when it finally gets there. Guys, we're reminding you right now because it's still January. I don't want you getting to the end of December 2023 thinking, damn it, you know what, next year is going to be my year. No, this year is going to be your year. This year is our year. If this year is not your year, do me a favor, log off right now. Get off YouTube. Don't be a part of the Think Big community. Don't be a part of this community right now. Get out of Daryl's Dog Pound Discord. Don't join in with me on the Morning Mindset. Don't link up with Sam or Alejandro. Stop sending us leads. If this year is not going to be your year, I don't want any of that energy. But if this year is going to be your year, stay here and invite other people who you know want to grow. So I'm done. Pass the mic because I'm going to get too excited.
Bro. Yo, Marlon, we just had this conversation the other day, bro. Marlon straight told me like we're at dinner and Marlon's like, yo, how much money did you make this month? Right. And mind you, a lot of people, I was thinking about this the other day, right? Because a lot of people are scared to talk about money, how much they make, where they're at, right? They either lie about it or they don't want to talk, they avoid it in general. Or, we get brought up, especially, I know me, I was brought up talking about learning that money, talking about people's money is rude, right? How much people make and everything is rude and disrespectful when it's not, right? So I tell Marlon how much I made, and he's like, yo, we need to make more money. We need to make more money. He's like $1 million. Being a millionaire is unacceptable. Not being a millionaire is unacceptable, right? I messed that up. My fault. We need to be millionaires this year, right? So we need to be making more money. And this is like he just said, bro. This is your year. Stop freaking taking days off. Let's make it happen.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Marlon, you and I did something really crazy last year, the month of February. What did we do? What did we do?
6-figure February. We did
6-figure February. And anyone that's been under a rock and hasn't been following me and Marlon and the boys for a certain amount of time, just know that month, Marlon and I, before that, Marlon, had we ever done 6-figure months before?
Not even close.
Nope. Nobody. And guess what we did? In front of about 300 people, we went live and we said, in the month of February, and we weren't planning it, just someone had some mindset issues. They said they don't think a 6-figure month is possible for them. So what did we say? Excuse my language, but we said, fuck that. We are going to do 6 figures in the month of February. 30 days later, 35 days later, when all the dust had settled and the deals had closed, Marlon did 6 figures. I did 6 figures the first time ever. And guess what? It only happened. And before that, did we ever think that was going to happen the next 30 days? Probably not. But what happened? We made a public proclamation. These are one of the most powerful things that I've learned about myself to keep myself on track, to keep myself accountable, is we don't like to talk about money. Why? Because we don't want to admit to ourselves when we're not doing everything that we could possibly be doing. We don't talk about things publicly because we don't want to be accountable. Accountability and social accountability is one of the most powerful things you can have. So it doesn't have to be on this, doesn't have to be right here on this YouTube. It should be, but in your circle, with your peers, with your loved ones, the people that you say you're doing this for. If you say your why is your wife and your kids, then your wife and your kids should be hearing a proclamation from you saying that you're going to do 6 figures this month, and hold yourself to it for their sake. Because if you don't, they're not your why. Period. So with that being said, and Marlon's right, public proclamation will take you to the next level 1,000 freaking %. I don't make them at all. I actually don't make them very often, but when I do, they're very calculated, they're very intentional, and I know, like, in my mind, in my like soul, I feel it. I want to say something really big and really bold publicly in front of 200, 300, 400 people. I know that if I do that, I have to follow through, and if I don't, I lied. And then the last thing I'm gonna hit on, this is something that Daryl Ellison talked about a while back. Daryl is super smart in saying this, that self-confidence comes from one thing and one thing primarily, and that is, are you keeping the promises you made to yourself? When we look at people in our lives who flake on us, who say they're going to be somewhere and they don't show up, and they do it consistently, we don't have confidence in them. If you make a public proclamation, if you say that you're going to do this, keep that promise, not to everyone around you, keep it to yourself for your own sake. And what's going to happen is you will find a new level of yourself. You will find out that you're capable of doing so much more than you ever thought. And your ceiling went from a 6-figure month to now it's a 7-figure month. Now your next public proclamation is going to be huge. And if we do, Marlon, I don't know about you, man, I just wish we did that shit sooner. I wish we did that like 1 month into my real estate journey. So with that being said, because otherwise we're going to go for 20 hours talking about this, because I think we're all fired up right now. Let's get talking about steady sellers. And it's funny because these steady sellers completely have the energy opposite of what I have right now. So I have to bring it down. I have to bring it down like I would be talking to these people. So it's important to understand their character profiles. They like playing it safe. They like stability. These are the people whose more than likely their parents were W-2 workers. Their grandparents were W-2 workers. They've been told to play it smart and safe. They go to college, get a 4-year degree, become accountants. Totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Just know that they've been conditioned their entire life to view communication a certain way. When new ideas come to them, they want them to be predictable, guaranteed. They want them to be safe and stable. So when you're communicating with them, you have to keep that in mind in every step of what you do. When you're doing discovery, and let's start with one of the basic points of one of the basic points when we're talking to sellers is this. Step one is what? Let's see if we can honestly build some legitimate rapport, right? Learn and remember this, guys. More often than not, people want to talk to people who they feel they can resonate with, they can connect with. We feel like we're birds of a feather. There's a reason that me and these 3 guys get along so well, is because we're extremely ambitious. We talk in very similar ways. There's a lot that like connects us. When you're doing that and you're trying to build that rapport with them, just know that this seller may want things to be drawn out very straightforward, very safe, very predictable, very in the box. Don't just immediately hit them with out the box types of speaking, out the box ideas. What's going to happen if you do that is alarms will raise, red flags will come up, guards will come up. And then once those guards are up, it is very difficult to start getting them down to rebuild rapport. So in my opinion, when you're doing the rapport phase with these people, you want to take it slow, steady. They're steady sellers, so let's take it steady. Daryl, you're one of the smoothest rapport builders probably in the industry. In the industry, period. When you're dealing with rapport building with a stable, steady avatar, how are you going about that, man?
In general, bro, I go about it, rapport building all the same, right? I really go about friends. Like that's my main objective on every call, is to make a friend. So with somebody who is more steady, I'm gonna take it a little bit more slow, right? But always, right, when we're talking about rapport, we're talking about building credibility as well, right? How do I show credibility and make a friend at the same time? You know, so it's little things, right? Like I may say like something just separating myself from the person that assigned the lead to me, right? So like if I have a lead manager, I'll say, hey, you spoke with my assistant. You know, like that's building rapport to me. You know, I don't know if that really answers your question, Sam, but I build rapport the same way with every seller. You know, it's provided some sort of credibility, showing some trust in me that I actually do this business, and I try to make a friend, right? So I try to make them laugh as much as possible, right? And with a steady seller, once you get them to trust you, they're going to share a lot with you, right? They're going to be a lot more open with you, and a lot of the times, you know, they just have to trust you, right? They just have to understand you, and they'll open up. You know,
I think that this is really important, guys. It's a life lesson that I think we've all heard several times in life. And there's some of the best closers. They really understand this, and that's not a seller isn't typically going to remember what you tell them. They're going to remember how you make them feel.
Yeah.
Right. That's what stands out to them. Their decision on whether or not they're going to talk to you and, you know, air out the dirty laundry with you and like really kind of show you what's really going on is not dependent on the sales tactics you use. It's not really dependent on the lines or the one-off lines that you use. It's really dependent on how do you make them feel. And with these stable sellers, you have to make them feel safe, right? You have to make them feel safe, or they're gonna have their guards up. So when it comes to that, Daryl, I want to highlight something that you said is really important, and this goes for all types of sellers, but it's something that you are amazing at. And the idea that you pointed out is you're going to try to match them, right? This goes back to a sales technique that we call mirroring. And mirroring is one of the most powerful things you can do, especially with this type of person, because I like to think these people, they're not necessarily introverted, right? But introverts kind of like staying in their box. You know, they like staying in their box with how they approach things, with the things that they decide to do or take on. When they are speaking to other human beings, they kind of like other people who aren't outside of the norm. Like I know me, and I know I have an intensity to me. I know Marlon has so much energy he can run through a brick wall sometimes, right? And it's the way it is. It's the way it is. So with us, we may have to, I think maybe sometimes slow it down a little bit. I may have to loosen up. So it's like me being, and this is so important, guys, to be self-aware, right? At the end of the day, we all have our own personality traits, our own inherent tonalities and pitches and the way that we speak. For me, I speak rather intensely. When I'm dealing with this person, I want to be an authority. I want to sound convincing and like I know what the hell I'm doing, but I also want to be a little bit softer. It's important, in my opinion, to audit yourself and to understand what do you bring to the table and how you're communicating and what do you need to do to get the intended effect. So for me, I know to loosen up a little bit. When I'm dealing with this type of seller, I'll actually slow down a little bit and I'll speak a little bit softer. I'll typically start talking with my hands just a little bit more. And if you guys are noticing this, what I'm actually doing is I'm also adding a lot more inflections in my voice. I'm drawing out certain syllables and certain phonetics because this allows people to feel a little bit more comfortable than if I started speaking really to the point and with real certainty. This can feel really abrasive to the wrong seller. And if I speak to a steady, stable seller who I don't even really know yet, and I speak like this, I have a chance at feeling like it's way too intense. Guards go up. I like Daryl's version of doing things because Daryl is so smooth. It is hard to have a guard up with Daryl. Like Daryl is filthy smooth. So, I mean, I'm actually really curious. Alejandro, you're extremely smooth too. You're a sniper. How do you go about handling these sellers, man? How do you go about, let's just say this. How do you go about building trust with these people?
Ooh, I mean, what I always tell my acquisitions, and how I do it myself, honestly, I just pick up the phone and just have a conversation with another person. And I think this works really well with that steadiness personality because like they're so used to getting these phone calls, people trying to sell them this idea or waste their time with lowball offers and all that stuff. And when you just pick up the phone and just, hey, You spoke with my assistant, just wanted to reach out, see what we can do, see if we're a good fit, and just have a regular conversation from there. Obviously, there are tactics that you can use to still have the right outcome, right? You don't want to just get on the phone and just waste your time on phone calls. Like, you obviously have to have an end goal. So you still have to ask them the right questions. That's very important. Open-ended question, not yes or no question. Don't just call somebody, hey, are you still interested in selling? How much do you want for it? Why haven't you sold it? Like, just have a conversation. Like, that will ruin the rapport building with the steadiness personalities for sure. Like, hey, like, they hear that all the time. So when you're just a little bit different and they feel like they can be your friend and they can have a conversation with you, it's gonna help you a lot. And sometimes, like, letting them know, like, hey, I may not be a good fit for you, but let me see if I can help you sell your house anyways. They love that. And sometimes they want to find a way to do business with you because they trust you enough to want to do business with you. So it's one of those things that you have to be really cautious of when you're talking to these sellers. Like, don't just call them and ask these questions that everybody that's calling them asking questions. Like, you have to be different. Be different, have a regular conversation. Know your objections, have rebuttals for your objections. You have to be sharp as a tack, and also know your product. What are you talking about? Because if they ask you something about, like, if it's creative, or if it's like, hey, I'll help you doing this, and they ask you a question, well, how can you help me? And then you start stuttering, like, good luck getting that report back again. So, does that answer your question, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is something really important to understand. Um, Sellers have different personality types. Okay, they have different personality types. They have different ways of communication, and they like to deliver information in unique ways, and they like to receive information in unique ways. And there can be infinite amounts of differences person to person. As a closer, when you guys are on the phone, it's important for you to understand what is your way of communicating too. It's not just knowing what they like and what works for them and working only to work with that. A lot of times you also have to ask yourself, hey, what's sustainable for me? How do I like to communicate? What is something that I enjoy doing? And so we all, like, it's really funny because this goes back to the red seller. This goes back to this seller as well. But let's take the red seller, for example. I think all four of us had different approaches on how to handle a red seller. So what does that show you? There is no one right answer. There isn't.
Yep.
The right answer is simply a combination of a few factors. Is it sustainable for you? Are you enjoying yourself so you don't hate life talking on the phone so you can pick up the phone and keep dialing after? And then 3, does it feel genuine and authentic? Why is that really important? It's probably the most important one, because if it doesn't feel genuine and authentic and you're putting on an act, you're going to hate yourself. You're going to hate the prospect of doing it. You're going to hate the industry, and you're not going to keep doing it. So what's really, really, really important is, I know we're highlighting all these different ways. Just know this, guys. There's 4 guys on the screen. We all have unique ways of talking to people. There's a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences. We have a lot of similarities in understanding how to approach them, but we have a lot of differences in delivery. Marlon and I have privately talked about how he and I are very, very, very similar, but our delivery of information is polar freaking opposite, probably. Now, that's a good thing. It's an important thing. Guess what? Marlon's a great closer, and so am I. You guys are all equally good closers. You just need to find what works for you. And this is the same as, when we look at like creative finance offers, a lot of times people will come to us and they'll say, hey, can you call my seller? I'm like, cool, what's going on, seller? Well, they're ready for an offer. What does that mean? What is your situation? What do they need to happen? What's going on in their life? Let's find out what they need. And then I'm going to amalgamate this to seller profiles. What do they need? How do they like to be communicated to? What works for them? And then find out what works for me and see if there's a middle ground that we can bridge. Do the same thing with your sellers. Find out that your stable sellers need to take in information and communication a certain way. Find out what works for you consistently at scale, and then see if there's a middle ground. And guys, there almost always is. Almost always is. So that's just something I wanted to say. I think it's really important to say. So for all of you guys, there's 4 guys on the screen with 4 different ways of doing it. Just know that each one of you has your own different way of doing it too.
Yep.
And the answer is to just test things out and have fun with it.
I love that. And I want to point out, Karen just asked a really awesome question. She said, is your approach more of a win the heart or a win the mind? And that is such a good differentiator, because with some sellers, it's going to be more about, like when we spoke about the analyticals last time, that is absolutely a win the mind kind of individual. Like there's no question about it. They're not going to get as emotional with you. They don't really care to know your life story. They don't really want to divulge their life story. With these individuals that are a little bit more steady, what you're going to find is, like Alejandro said, it's going to be a bit of both. You're going to be winning their heart and their mind. And most likely what they're going to do is they're going to put it out there that they want you to win their mind more than anything. They're going to put that as their defense mechanism, but you still have to win their heart. These people are scared. They value security. They value not getting screwed over. So they want to make sure that they protect themselves. And something that I want people to think about when they think about this sort of seller personality type, this persona, some of the things they value fairness, right? Like these people value like things being fair. There being a sense of justice. There being a sense of we're all like, this is equally good for you as it is for me. Right? Everyone should be equal. Like that's the world they live in, where it's like, yes, like fairness, fairness, fairness. So they want to get a good deal. And they're also open with you getting a good deal, as long as it's also a good deal for them. So words that help you kind of open these sellers up into a new opportunity is asking them, as you go through the rapport building, as you go through the deal structuring or the offer or whatever it is you need to go through, you could simply ask them, hey, does this sound fair to you? Does this sound like, like something that works well for you? And does this sound like it would be fair? Such a powerful word.
Marlon, I want to highlight those couple of questions that you just asked. I want to get your take on this. The seller that prioritizes fairness, right, and ethics, and usually a fair bit of integrity. You ask questions, these hypothetical questions of, hey, does this work for you? Right? Let's recap what we just came up with. If I can give you this, this, and this, and you're okay with me making money on it, right? Because I got to make a profit. Does that sound fair to you? Right? What are these things, these questions, these precursor questions before you go for the official offer, right? Before you go for moving the conversation forward, these precursor questions, they're also known as upfront contracts. Upfront contracts are so important to these type of human beings. Why? They like everything to be out in the open. They value transparency. These are the people, there's people who, some red sellers, you may not want to just lead with, hey, I need to make a profit on this deal, right? Because there's an emotional charge there. These people, I would be very open that you need to make a profit on this. I would say, hey, like I got to make a profit, not because I'm a greedy entrepreneur. It's because I got a team of people that I got to feed, and they have to feed their families. So if we do this, given that, this property needs this amount of work, given that we need to work with your timeline, given that we're doing this, that, and the other, right? And I have to put so much work into this, so much time into this, I'm taking a lot of risk. You are okay with me making the profit that I'm going to make, right? You do understand that I'll be doing the profit on this. And see how I'm airing out my intention, my goal to make money, my motivation is to provide for my loved ones. They will take that information in as upfront, straightforward. That upfront contract is beautiful. And guess what? It's a lot better than all the other wholesalers who reached out to them, all the other closers who reached out to them and didn't set those upfront expectations. Why? Because these people are looking for ulterior motives. People can gauge stability, steadiness, expectations based on whether or not they think you have ulterior motives or not. You get those out on the front end, you're in.
And can we talk about something here? Because I want to address this for the people that are as you're making these calls, as you're on the phone with sellers, I want to be straight up with you that if you're new to this industry still and you're still new to making calls and maybe you're still working on opening your first couple deals, it will be uncomfortable as hell when you're being transparent, when you're being open, especially because you're watching so many of these online gurus telling you like, hey, don't let them know you're doing this. Don't let them know you're doing that. You feel like you're lying to people. Trust me, you do not want to go that route. I have personally walked that road for you, and I can tell you the money you earn from it does not feel as good. The entire transaction is way more stressful. There's way more things for you to remember. Transparency is the best way. Now, with that being said, please understand it will feel kind of scary because ultimately what you are saying to the seller, and you better be cool with this, what you're saying to the seller is, look, we're either going to produce a win-win situation or no deal at all. Those are our two options. We're either going to produce a win-win situation, or you and I are going to cancel this transaction and we're walking away from this table as friends, because I am not ruining a relationship with another human being by lying, manipulating, and deceiving. So when you're in those situations, when you're on those calls and you're feeling like, oh my gosh, should I really say this? Like, what if I tell them and they're just like, no, this doesn't sound fair, and you're scared? Perfect. Those are the words you need to speak next. If those words scare you, those are the words that you need to speak next.
Yeah, one thing that I like to do when I speak to these steady sellers is something that kind of what we were just talking about, right? Because their whole thing is they want to trust you, right? They want to feel safe. They want to move slow, right? So a lot of things that I do is I use words like we, right? I make them feel like they're my partner, right? So I'll say like what do we do about this? I include them in just about everything, right? Like you were saying, Marlon, get their thoughts, get their ideas, because the reality of things, once they're on your side, they're really team players, right? Like they're really accepting. If they understand and they like you, they want to work with you, right? And they understand it's a true win-win here, right? So you don't have to, just like we've been saying, you really don't have to do way too much, because they're extremely patient with you. They're extremely patient, like by nature. These people are patient with you. They're calm. They move slower. So if you just use that framework, right? Like we're a team here, right? We're partners here.
So I got a question. God, I'm sorry. I'm excited today. I got energy today. I got my whole 6 hours of sleep last night. We're good to go. I should be at 10 hours of sleep or whatever. Alejandro, I want to ask you this question, bro. How many, because you talk to a lot of different people and different personality types require different amounts of touches. And real quick, when I say touches, what do I mean? Can someone can you break that down? Because when I say touches, what does that mean when I'm referring to different personality types need different touches?
You touching butts?
Do you mean different type follow-ups, bro? Like different follow-ups?
Yeah, different follow-ups, different touches. So when I'm saying touches, yep.
I like to say something about that as well, because a lot of the time, one of the biggest mistakes that I see people do is they try to close the deal right there. That is the biggest mistake you can do. As soon as you get on the phone, the first thing you do, let's close them on the first phone call. You need to relax. Just chill.
You're not the same thing, bro.
Take the breaks.
Take your time. Especially with creative deals, take your time. You're not going to call a seller and pitch them terms, and this is something they've never heard in their entire life, and you're pressuring them to close on the first call. You have to take your time with these sellers. And a lot of time I tell these sellers, for example, I've had sellers that I pitch terms to, and they, oh, okay, yeah, this sounds great. Okay, I think I would need $100,000 down. I would need, 8% interest, and, whatever price you're looking for. And I just thought, okay, got it. Cool. Makes sense. Typically people in that situation be like, oh no, yeah, that's too high. Why would I do that? The first phone call, my goal is to get you open to the idea. Yeah. Once I have you open, now you're committed to have a conversation with me to move on to the next step. That's it. And then when we get to the second phone call, sometimes I even get these sellers on Zoom calls with me, and I show them the exact numbers that they pitched to me. Mr. Seller, would you do this deal if you were me? I've had people no, I would not do this deal. Okay, great. So let's find something more realistic that we can create a win-win scenario. And it works. Sometimes it works. It works most of the time. But if they need $100,000, if they really need it for a specific reason, there's other ways that we structure deals. But whenever you're on the phone with a seller, do not try to rush the first phone call. Like, just take your time, build rapport, let them see that you are consistent and you are a real person and you're not trying to only benefit from on your own. Like, just make them feel like you're there for them. Call them 2, 3, 4 times. Sometimes it takes 10 phone calls. Sometimes it takes months. Gotta be patient. If it's not a today, it's not a dead deal. It may be a sweet deal in 3 months. Like, I've had sellers from 2 quarters ago. Yeah, my property's going to sell. I know it's going to sell for this high price. And now they're like, hey, you still want to do terms? Yeah. Why? Because I'm the only one that's going to offer them the highest price.
I want to jump in here.
I hope that makes sense, Marlon.
It makes perfect sense. I'm gonna pass the mic over, but like I gotta highlight 2 things because Alejandro did 2 things, right? First off, I don't know if anyone caught it. He was like, "Yo, you gotta open them up." Like, yo, his hands. He was like, "Yo, we just open it up," and that's what it is. We're opening them up to these situations. I love it, bro. And he said a ninja trick. Like, if y'all were listening and go back, rewind, listen to it. This is why we're recording these. This is why you could come back and get access to it over and over and over. Because he said he will actually sit with these sellers. He will agree with them. I need $100,000 down. Yeah, okay, yeah, I hear you. Right, I hear you. He acknowledged it. And then he'll pencil it out. So he actually does the work. He'll underwrite their nonsense, and then he will show them their nonsense. And he'll say, hey, well, look, Jim, I mean, look, so I'm looking at this. You see this, Jim? I'm like, he'll sit there with him. Like, yo, Jim, I'm coming over for dinner tonight. Hey, look, man, like, we should buy this deal, right? Jim's like, no, it's a terrible deal. Who would ever? Well, Jim, this is a deal you're trying to sell me, bro. Oh, that is such a good move. Instead of arguing with them, show it to them and ask them, would they buy this?
Here's a tip on this. Like, take this quote: "A man against his will is of the same opinion still." So in my mind is, how can I make this person go against their own will on their own? And that's the easiest way to do it, by showing them their nonsense. Ma'am, you're crazy on this $100,000 down. It's not going to work. You agree to it, not me. Let's figure something else out.
I love it. I love it.
It goes back to something that Marlon highlighted before, and that's fairness, right? Be open about your underwriting. Be open about your calculator. If it's a cash deal, right? Because under creative finance underwriting, you typically have to show them on a Zoom. So like in my team, if we're doing creative finance, a lot of times we'll actually jump on a Zoom and like take them through our underwriting process. But if it's like a cash deal, because cash is really simple to like understand, like how to reverse engineer numbers. Like we do this all the time with our cash contracts. When we're negotiating back and forth, we actually have the seller like get their phone out, click on the calculator button, and say, Mr. Seller, what do you think your home's worth? $250, right? That's top end, right? If it's fixed up, great. So start with $250,000. Okay. You have to remove, if you sell it to anyone else, you have to remove commissions for realtors. It's about 6%, right? Closing costs, 1-2%, depending on where you're at, right? Let's just take off 10% to be safe, because we miscellaneous other stuff. Brokerages get involved, title companies, miscellaneous fees like HOAs want to cut XYZ. Let's take 10% right off the top. Your $250, boom, right off the top line, $25,000 that could have gone to your pocket's gone now. Okay. Now you said you need a kitchen update, you need bathroom update, you need flooring, 1,200 square feet, this, that, and the other. Just trust me when I say these numbers. I want you to corroborate these numbers on your own, but just trust me when I say that on a house about 1,200 square feet, about your size, flooring alone is probably take about $5,000. Okay. Let's reverse, let's subtract. Okay. And now you wanted, 200,000. I haven't even gotten a profit in yet. We haven't even factored in all the rehab yet. I'm already at 150 grand.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're doing is you're proving that you're not coming up with these numbers. You're not BSing them. There's no nefarious hidden ulterior motive behind it. You're just showcasing with simple logic you're kind of like throwing it in their face a little bit. And that is the fairest way to do it. That is the absolute fairest way to do it. And you would want them to treat you the exact same way. And you can actually throw this in their face. And I say this nicely. Highlight that. Do you feel that I'm being fair and transparent in how we're doing these deals? Because a lot of the other guys, they're not going to do this. You can ask them to justify the numbers. They will not do this with you, but we'd love to. So that's one thing that's really important. I want to highlight something because this goes back to number of conversations. Alejandro gave the perfect the perfect answer to understanding what it's going to take, how many follow-ups it might take, because it's going to take a lot. The answer is a lot. I want to give a little bit of a different spin on it, because we're all four of us are closers through and through. We are, but we're also business owners. And the hat that we wear as business owners is different than the hat that we wear as closers. But a closer is a company. The business owner is the guy at the top who has to make all the decisions in forward pace. So this is something that I'm really good at, which is scaling. Scaling is kind of my thing, guys. And in order to scale properly, predictably, sustainably, you have to know what industry standards are. So for cold calling, the industry standard for how many touches it takes to go from a cold call lead the lead comes in to get it under contract is about 13. It's about 13, okay? With texting, it's typically a little bit more. It's typically about 15 to 20. There's a reason for that. Why? It's a little bit of a colder marketing outreach strategy. With something like inbound, right? Inbound like a PPC, which is Google Ads, which is very hot. These are people coming to you saying, hey, I want to sell my house. Give me a freaking offer. Here's all the things you need to know. That conversion rate typically looks about 1 in 10, 1 in 12. Now, these are standards, industry standards. You can boost all these numbers in your favor. How do you boost them?
What are the Samsung standards?
Better.
Better.
And so know the standards and know how to optimize the standards in your favor. And I want to talk about that, guys. The industry, everyone in the industry. Does the entire industry know creative finance? Hell no.
Hell no.
Most of them only got a shitty cash offer, and they just learned how to take the ARV, times it by 70% minus some form of rehab. And I don't know what rehab looks like. I don't know how to do any of that. And they didn't even learn how to comp right. So 1, get your underwriting on point. 2, learn better acquisitions and acquisition strategies and exit strategies. The more tools you have in your tool belt, like Sub2, like Seller Finance, like Novations, like Wraps, all of these things that you can do on the front end, or knowing that you have them as a possibility, you can sell this thing to a hedge fund, do an Airbnb, corporate rental, midterm rental, millions of different possibilities. The more possibilities you have, you take that industry standard of 1 in 50, or I'm sorry, 13 touches, right? You can actually shorten that timeline. Now, I will say this, creative financing, like Alejandro said, takes time. Takes time. Why? Typically, you're introducing a way of doing things that people have never heard of before. And like he said, right? A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. When you try to bring a new idea to someone that they've never heard of, man, it is tough. You have to walk them through it slowly. So anticipate that cold call 13 touches for a creative finance deal that's extremely extensive, like a hybrid, half Sub2, half Seller Finance with a balloon in 5 years, and maybe we're not doing payments for the first 6 months. That might take 20 calls. Might take 25. I've had deals where they were super, super easy. I've had deals where, like, full transparency, guys, inbound, right? So typically 1 in 10 conversion rate, 1 in 10 leads will turn into a deal with PPC. Those calls can sometimes be 1 to 4 calls. Like, we're very often hitting 1 call closes on PPC, but if it's creative finance, I'm not expecting it to be a 1 call close. Heck no. Now we're going to go 5 to 10 plus. So know what it takes for you, and then know what it should take everyone else. Because here's the thing, guys. I say this with love, right? But this is why we track KPIs. This is why we track stats in our businesses. If it takes you, on average, 45 touches to consistently get deals, let's work on our processes. Let's work on our sales. Let's work on our acquisitions. Let's add some more tools to our tool belt to figure out how we can get these things going. And while I have the floor, and I'm gonna pass the mic, I actually do want to take a moment here, and I want to highlight Richard freaking Knowles,
The GOAT,
who is not just an OG in this industry. He's a fantastic leader and a fantastic friend, and it's an honor to have you in the chat, brother. I miss you. I cannot wait to see you in a few months in SoCal. But yeah, I'm also one of the smartest human beings you'll ever freaking meet. You guys ever want to feel stupid in life? Go have a 5-minute talk with him. All right, Daryl, I'm gonna give it back to you, bro.
Sam, I want to talk about what you were just talking about too, because a lot of people, they think that this is just overnight, right? Like, even the process yes, it's a lot of, it takes a lot of calls once you're having conversations with these people. Yeah, it takes like 8 to 13 usually to get a contract. But a lot of people don't even count the times of how many calls you need to make to even get these people on the phone in the first place. Like we have, I could go to my CRM and click on the lead, and you can just scroll, just keep scrolling for how many times we have contacted certain people and they just haven't answered the phone.
You know, I
this
found
isn't
out.
a get rich quick.
I was talking about that this morning, if I may, guys. Just want to kind of give you something that me and my business partners were working on. We're having like one of those EOS meetings. I don't know if anyone knows what the EOS meetings are, but that's something that every time a lead touches a CRM, like there's this weird thing where like the seller doesn't answer. Like we've had leads that we've been following up for months, every day, text messages, calling, voicemails, different phone numbers, even emails if we have the emails sometimes. But we figure a way how to minimize that because our process is cold caller, then you got your lead manager, then you got your closer, and then you got your TC. So it's a process of like the sellers it's a process of your seller talking to other different people in the business. So whenever you have your cold caller, the cold caller knows the lead manager that's going to call that seller. So what we do, we create some urgency, and we have them save the phone number of our lead manager and the name. Like we wait on the phone, like, hey, this is the lead manager that's going to call you. His name is XYZ. Let's call him Joe. Here's his number. He's going to call you within 24 hours. So now whenever that lead manager calls that lead that just touched the CRM, it doesn't show spam likely, or it doesn't look like one of another wholesaler trying to call them. It looks like Joe, the guy that's supposed to call me within 24 hours. And we do the same thing when we move it to the closer, and the same thing when we move it to the TC. So that's what has been helping us, Daryl. So maybe you can try that as well. See if that works. But it's definitely going to minimize the amount of time that you have to follow up with these sellers. Because man, that is frustrating.
Bro, look at this. Look at this. Let me show. I pulled up just one lead, right? These are just one. We have a bunch of leads like this where.
Are you trying to tell me that you don't just pick up the phone once, call people once, your business magically works out?
Bro, look at this.
Well, guys, Daryl does. Daryl does. He picks up the phone, says about 3 words, and has signed contracts. That's the way it works.
Check this out. Look, this lead came into our system. I'll show you when we get to the bottom. But these are all the calls that we have made so far.
Look at how much the little thing on the side keeps getting smaller and smaller. How far he has to scroll. Look at that. No, this is over 100 to a single person.
Oh,
bro, let me confirm. These are humans. Like this is like your acquisitions team call.
Yes. This lead came to our system December 27th.
December. So guys, wait a second. So we're looking at over 100 calls, and it's only been like 2.5, 3 weeks.
Yep.
Like, yo, do you see what needs to be done?
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's borderline harassment. I'm not gonna lie. It's borderline harassment.
No.
I FaceTime these sellers too, bro. I FaceTime. I got to deal with that. FaceTiming.
You gotta be obsessed. It's be obsessed or be average.
Yep.
It is be obsessed or be average. Because look, if they are going to do business with you, they will not be upset that you're calling them. They will not be upset that you're solving their problem, that you keep coming and knocking on their door. In fact, they're going to see, yo, you are actually serious. Most everybody else calls them once and then never calls again. Most everybody else shows up one time and then never shows up again. Where are they at? What are people doing to be different? Be consistent and be intense. Be consistent and be intense. Show up every day and then show up with your effort. Show up with your energy.
Yeah, that's real talk.
Easier said than done. It is easier said than done. This is why we do videos like this. This is why me and these guys on the screen, why we connect with each other and collaborate regularly. Because you want to be in a circle of people who are constantly pushing you. By the way, real quick, I got to do a very, very, very quick plug. Because 2 things. Let's do a little housekeeping before we continue. First off, how many of you are getting value right now? Because I I love, like, we got Nicole, we got Dustin, we got Effie, we got Richard Knowles, we got Karen, we got people blowing up the chat right now. So I love it. If you are blowing up the chat right now, I appreciate you. If you are getting value from this right now, we got 30 people live with us right now. I want to blow this up to 50 people. I want to get 50 people on live right now. So do me a favor.
Go.
Hit the like button right now, not later, right now. If you've gotten any value at all tonight, hit that like button and share this. Pass it on to somebody else in the industry who needs to hear these words right now, who needs to make some more money, who needs to build an ethical business. Pass this on to them right now, because I want to see you all winning in 2023. Second thing is, as you saw what Daryl was doing, understand Daryl actually breaks this down in depth in his community. Daryl has a Discord community for anybody that's looking to get better at acquisition, anybody looking to get better at sales. And, Daryl, how much does that cost to be a part of your acquisition? Be a part of your community?
Free 99.
Free 99? Oh,
Free 99.
Wait, why did I pay $1,000 though?
Well, free 99.
Free 99, bro. I don't
So
want money.
you're telling me I can get assistance from you. I can go work with you. I can go do deals with you. I can go and collaborate with you. I can go and learn how to speak to sellers with you for free 99.
Free 99, bro.
Where do I have to go? How do I get into your Discord channel right now? Because somebody just found out your Discord channel even exists 2 seconds ago.
I just dropped the link. Hold on.
Link right there.
I just dropped the link right there. So make sure you click on that link, join the Discord. We're even doing right now 60 days straight of role plays. And the craziest thing about that is I didn't even put that together. That's the community. It's the type of community that we're building, right? This is everybody's looking to help each other out. You know what I'm saying? So join the community. I know my brothers are in there. I'm in there. Shit, I was in there this morning. I was in a random role play room and I didn't even know. Like I was in there just working. I had my motivational music playing in the background. It was like 6 a.m. and somebody jumped in and they're like, yo, I didn't know you would be in here. And I'm like, shit, I didn't know I was in here. But let's talk. What's up?
So I had to plug it, man, because I was in the Discord, man. Like that Discord it's fire, man. Like I'm in that Discord and I'm hanging out from time to time throughout the day. It is just, I think people underestimate what it is to do this business with other people. And this does not mean you need to go and partner with them. You don't need to form an LLC with them. But when you're making your calls and you're talking to these types of sellers, you can go and squad up with other people, even just to have them listening to your calls. And then it's going to, one, put you on a better game because now you're conscientious that other people are listening. And then two, you're going to get feedback because you're going to be so in the moment. You're not going to catch some of the things you said, but they might. And also, real quick shout out to our man, Don Rich. I see Don Rich over there in the chat. And Don is somebody that I learned how to speak and talk to sellers. He taught me how to do this business in such a good way that I appreciate him so much. So shout out to Don. Can't let him be inside there sneaking around. I got to say what up, put him on blast.
Bro, while you were talking, I was just fighting the urge to just stop you and say, yo, we have a legend in the chat, bro. Because I think we all four of us up here have learned a lot from Don Rich, bro. Whether it's directly or indirectly, like this dude is a legend.
Bro, he's the man that taught me that we are the house, like I'm a house doctor. He said, yo, I'm not. He said, I'm a house doctor. I need to know what's going on with the situation so I can give you a proper diagnosis. And I said, damn, Don, like how you make that sound so good.
He's so smooth, bro.
So, I know we went a little all over the place tonight, but hopefully you start to understanding these different personality types. It's going to be beneficial. And someone asked a great question. Where was it? Olga asked, do you recommend that the same person keeps following up or you switch between partners? Olga, that is such a fantastic question.
Ooh, I like to answer that.
I'm going to let Alejandro's taking it. Alejandro, take it.
This is I have a great story about this one. This is a house in Tennessee. Was it Tennessee? It was in Tennessee or Kentucky. I do deals nationwide, guys. So I think it was in Tennessee. We had this seller. One of my acquisition guys called him, got the price, and out of the blue, the guy's just like, hey, don't want to do this deal anymore. I'm going to sell this house to my son. I called BS. right? And I think, what was it, 3 days later, we gave him some time to chill out. 3 days later, another acquisition called him, right? Anonymously. They didn't say that we were related or anything, and got him on a contract for the exact same price, and we made $30,000 on that deal. So just because the seller tells one person no, doesn't mean they might not doesn't mean they won't say yes to another partner. So don't give up. Sometimes it's just a smokescreen. Sometimes they just don't like you for whatever reason. You may have said something, they're like, I don't like this guy. Unfortunately, that's just how life is. So have someone else reach out to them, and you still have an opportunity there. See if there's real pain. See if whatever they told your acquisition guy, if it's true. Some people are too nice to hurt your feelings, right? Like some sellers don't want to tell you, like, hey, I don't like you. I don't want to do business with you. They would just tell you, I broke my leg, or, I just can't do it, or I'm sick, got to go to the hospital, or something like that. Smoke screen, right? This guy was all pumped up about it. And yeah, so keep following up, guys. Still opportunities there.
My bad, bro. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's all right, bro.
I wanted to tag in on that, though, because to your point, right, we actually have a deal under contract right now that looking to close in the next 30 something days. But this is one where it actually got submitted to my JV form by two separate people. Right? So two of my acquisitions people were working this lead at the same exact time. And I had no clue until both of them submitted the deal to underwriting, because they were both ready to send the contract up. So one of them was working the deal cash, one of them was working the creative deal. And what I had, they're like, what do we do? Everybody's all frantic. I'm like, bro, we're just gonna work this together. And I wanted a creative deal. So I'm like, look, I told the one guy, look, this is your job. You're gonna go in there, you're gonna lowball this guy. You're gonna give him one of the lowest offers that he's gotten. Right, get him really low. And then you, the other one, you're gonna come back right after, give him a call later that evening, and you give him a creative offer. And that's what we did. The first guy, Andrew, shout out to Drew, Coach Drew. If y'all need an RPM, y'all don't know what y'all doing. Shout out to Coach Drew. But Coach Drew sent an offer like $300,000, right? And I'm like, yeah. He was like, yeah, never mind. The seller backed out. Like, the seller was like, yeah, we're not a good fit. And Femi, shout out to Femi. Femi called later that night, came in with an offer at $700,000, creative finance, and he accepted the offer. It was actually a Morby Method deal that we're working on right now in Vegas. So
nice.
Use your team. Like, and what I just showed you guys, when like we went down that one seller where we called 100 times already, that's multiple people. Like, that's two people on my team, both of my lead managers. I told them that's a free-for-all, right? So we keep calling these people until they answer. We have different phone numbers, so they don't know we're on the same team. They just think they're getting another call, So yeah, that I definitely think I definitely think you should use other lead managers, use your partners, switch it up. Somebody's doing it.
Don't give up.
Let me I want to chime in here from a little bit of a different perspective. Same message, but different perspective, and this is why it's important. In case Olga was asking from the perspective of a business owner, in terms of how many people do I need to hire? How many people do I need to onboard and recruit?
Ooh.
In that case, there's a lot of companies. There's a lot of high-performing companies. And just, guys, remember that there's things that work and there's things that don't. There's multiple things that can work. I know a team, personally, one of my mentors did $2.7 million in a 30-day time frame with 5 people in acquisitions. And all 5 of those people were the sole owners of that lead all the way through. So in case, Olga, you're asking, do I need a lead manager and then a separate closer in the company, and there has to be a handoff? Because I think that's also maybe what she was kind of going for too. And this is a business owner question, right? This is a personnel recruitment question. The 5 people that he had when they did 2.7 million, all sellers were owned by that one person. From the second the lead came in all the way to close, it was one person. And I like it. It works for them. But the reality is, for me and my team, we do have a separation between lead managers and closers. And here's why. If in your business, at some point, you will have turnover. People will leave the business. They will go. If you hire improperly, they will learn everything they know that you know. they will go and then copy and paste it and then become your competition. It's unfortunately the way it is, right? It's the way it is. Hiring the right way is important. So expect people to leave. So what happens when you've had a lead manager who, or you have the one person only thing where your systems are built out for one closer to handle a lead all the way through, and that closer leaves you in 3 months? You should anticipate people leaving. Unfortunately, it's true. You should prep for having multiple lead managers. You should prep for having maybe some segmentation between your lead managers and between your closers, and then anticipate that there may have to be pass-offs. And even if you decide to not go the segmented route and you only want to have one closer all the way through the entire funnel, that's totally fine. Have your systems and SOPs in place where, in worst case scenario, you can do both in case that person leaves. So it's a same but different. It ends up giving the same mission, but it's a different take from a different lens, and it's important as a business owner to prep for both scenarios. So we're running a little bit over here. Marlon, my brother, what are we going into next week, man?
Yo, next week, let's see. I believe next week we're rolling back into a deal, no deal. So we're going to be doing a deal breakdown. So that's going to be where we bring up a deal that either one of us is working on or even one of the people in the audience, because quite frankly, I've been getting, especially the last few days, I don't know what got into the water, but a lot of people in the last few days have been reaching out to me to help them with their creative finance deals. I don't remember saying anything online of like hit me up, but like a lot of people have hit me up in the last 48 hours to help them out with creative finance deals. So we can do a deal breakdown where we either bring one of our deals to the table, or depending on if somebody has their numbers ready, we can bring their deal up to the table and help them analyze it, underwrite it, and break it down.
Bro, this is what they can do. In the Discord, there's actually a creative underwriting channel. So if you go into the creative underwriting channel, start a thread, put the address and all the information that we need to underwrite it. That is the entry fee, the total PITI, right? All that information is actually in there, right? So all the information that we need is going to be in that to underwrite it is going to be in that channel. If you want us to underwrite your deal live, and we won't share the address with everybody, but if you want us to underwrite your deal live, submit it to the channel in the Discord, and we'll underwrite it live for you.
Or buy it.
And buy it if it's a good deal.
If it's in Arizona, dibs. Yeah, just calling it. What up, Derek? Derek Barton. I think we need to start wrapping it up. Also, man, I'm a little nervous to ask. I think the answer is still going to be no. But do we have an outro yet, y'all? Like, have we thought of a cool outro yet?
Waiting on some producers.
All right. I heard D Easy. He got bars. I heard D E is going to drop some bars for us.
Oh my God.
Maybe.
All right. So, let's start to wrap it up. So, guys, I'm going to remind everyone. First off, Marlon Johnson here, aka Mindset Marlon, and I'm on a mission to help you achieve success personally, financially, and professionally by empowering your mind and connecting you to the right people. Practicing my pitch, y'all. I got to practice it everywhere, every day. That's how we get better and better. And ultimately, we're going to be here live at the Think Big podcast every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Arizona. Like, I want you to get tuned in. I want you to get excited about this. Like when you were a little kid waking up for Saturday morning cartoons, I want you to get excited about Tuesday evenings, 5 p.m. Arizona time. Come hang out with your favorites. You're going to be hanging out with Daryl. You're going to be hanging out with Alejandro. You're going to be hanging out with the Sam Singh. You know how hard it is to pull this man out of his work and to pull him out of the Bat Cave and to get him here for y'all. So please, if you got value tonight, do me a favor. Hit the like button and please share this consciously with somebody who also is going to get value from it. Because like I said, I want to see this channel grow. I want to see Daryl grow. I want to see Sam grow. Selfishly, I want to see Alejandro grow. And I want to see you all grow. The way it happens is by passing on the baton, right? Many people don't even know. Quick story time, and I'm bouncing off the soapbox, but I got into sub 2 because of Will Ayarza calling me at 10 o'clock at night saying, yo, there's this video, there's this dude, he's going live in front of a whiteboard right now. He sent me a video at 10 o'clock at night because he was getting value. So he sent that video to me. I got value from it. Because I got value from it, guess what? I've been able to go on and give value to other people. So if you're getting value from something, don't hold it all to yourself. Don't hoard the wealth, share the wealth. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Alejandro. I'm done talking. I appreciate you all, and I will see you back here next Tuesday.
That's all, folks. Thank you guys for joining today. This was amazing. I love seeing the viewers grow every week. If you guys got any value from this, please share with your friends, with your family. More viewers will help us spread the message and help others. If you didn't get value, don't share it. But if you did, please send it over. And if you have any questions, DM me at It's Really Alvarez Instagram. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will be releasing a lot more YouTube videos about what I do during my day in this business, how to close more deals, how to close more sellers. So yeah, I appreciate you guys for showing up. I truly, truly do appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. And I'll pass this mic down to Sam.
Alejandro, could you also teach us how to go and pick up girls? Because clearly you're that smooth.
Wow. Wow. Hey, man, that's a deep conversation there, sir.
That's a whole nother series.
We're not ready for that masterclass, guys. Yeah, that Alejandro showing us how to pick up girls. That masterclass needs to be about $50,000 minimum, and I'm waiting for him to roll it out because I want to be the first guy to buy it. But I've got nothing to say. The reality is this, guys. If you guys find value, show it. We're on a mission to kind of do a lot of things that a lot of people won't do, especially in this industry, especially for free. I mean, we're giving you guys insights into a lot of amazing things, into a lot of high-performing businesses. If it's of value, give these guys follows, subscribe to them, share it, help us grow, and we'll just keep giving back 10 times over. So that's it for me, guys. I can't wait to see you guys next week.
Let's go.